Today's video is sponsored by Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe. More on that later. Hello and welcome back to Jarvis Johnson Gold, the premium channel that is free. It is free, but if you're watching this, you're premium. And you might be a gentleman. I don't know. Today, I've consulted with Gentleman's Quarterly, which is what I assume GQ stands for. Whoa, it stands for Gentleman's Quarterly. Dude, I had it up here in the brain. They put out this article called GQ's 125 Rules for Modern Gentlemen. So GQ's been around for probably 125 years, if I had to guess. They have classic stories about being a guy, being a gentleman, being gentle, being a man, being sexy in a suit, being sexy without a suit. You know, it's that kind of magazine, but it's pretty mainstream. I have no idea what's held within these 125 rules. All I know is it's a lot of rules. So I'm not going to be able to hold them all in my head, and I probably won't include them all in this video. I'm going to make my way through it, and I'm going to show you the spoils of that. Knowing how to be a gentleman used to be straightforward. I don't know if that's true. I'm going to take an issue with every little thing I can in this video. I don't think it's ever been straightforward on how to be a gentleman. Sure, let's reduce the past to one dimension. There were codes that were passed down, like the old scrolls of stand on the outside on a sidewalk, so that when a car comes and runs over a puddle, it splashes you and not your beautiful wife. Put down your coat, your nice, beautiful coat, put it over the puddle. Help your lady across it. Don't think about what you do now with that sopping wet coat. And also, no bad stuff is happening in these old days. Men are just gentle. It's in the name, and they didn't do anything bad. There were codes that were passed down, instilled, and strictly enforced. Okay, that scares me. Something conflicting to me about the words gentle and strictly. With both social mores and the nature of masculinity itself wildly in flux, that's not exactly the case anymore. I think the nature of masculinity has always been in flux, but I do think it's important that we are more transparently discussing the nature of masculinity and the nature of power and gender roles and stuff in our society. I think that's a good thing that we're talking about that, which is why we at GQ are stomping that down. Let's go back to the old days. Nah, they didn't say that. Put our heads together and pulled in some wise and well-behaved, this is tongue-in-cheek, but I don't like it, outsiders to craft the ultimate guide to being a well-mannered gentleman in 2025. This is, after all, Gentleman's Quarterly. We all knew that. Okay, well, that's something that we all knew. We've considered both the new predicaments guys might be struggling with. It's funny to say guys here. I don't know why, but this whole time it was very prim and proper, and guys feels like such an informal word. Fella. We've considered both the new predicaments fellas might be dealing with in this specific day and age, as well as the classic evergreen rules that men should still adhere to and could maybe use a good, strong machismo reminder of. This means we're helping you navigate everything from the modern landscape of online dating etiquette, I do need help with that, 6-1 by the way, to how to act in that women Pilates class. What? It's all women. Why am I there? I don't feel like I belong. Maybe it's not exclusively an all women's class. This is what they wrote here. Hopefully they didn't mean this. To win and when not to pop a zin. You're telling me I can't pop a zin whenever I want? Wow, 2025 sure is something. Back in my day, you used to be able to pop a zin whenever, dude. I haven't done zin or tried it, but I assume it's very gentlemanly to pop that thing whenever. The result is a list of 125 rules on how to be your best behaved self wherever you go in 2025 and beyond. Friends, dates, colleagues, and the people sitting beside you on your flight all thank you for reading. I feel like a lot is made of understanding social cues, right? I fortunately feel like I've got a good handle of how to weave my way through social situations, despite the fact that it can be very uncomfortable for me because of just general social anxiety. That being said, the rules that I would like to hear are things like, or when someone tells you they haven't seen a famous movie like The Big Lebowski, you don't say, "What? You haven't seen that movie? Dummy. That's so stupid that you haven't seen it. Wow, I thought you were well-adjusted. What do you mean?" Don't do that. Those are the types of rules that I would write down in my 125 rules for people. okay? Or when someone asks you how you're doing, whether they want a simple, straightforward, surface level answer like, I'm doing good, or if they want a deep, how are you really doing answer like, me and Sally aren't doing so good right now, okay? Those types of things are what I would put in my manual. By the way, you can't spell manual without man, gentle man. But before we get into that, we have a brief word from today's sponsor, Simply Safe. I take my privacy very seriously, and I want to have a safe space for me and Dipper to relax. Look at him. Look, he's relaxed right now. You may have heard me speak in the past about an unwanted stranger in my home. And after that, I wanted to invest in home security, and that's why I got Simply Safe. Simply Safe is an easy to install alarm system with a support staff that's working to help you. Traditional alarm systems only react once a break-in has occurred, but with Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection, you will get a notification as soon as someone enters the zone that you say that no one should be entering without your permission. And if this situation does occur, Simply Safe has live monitoring agents who are able to take action, like flashing some lights or calling for help if needed, before any bad stuff goes down. Live monitoring plans start at around $1 per day with no hidden fees, and there's lots of other security features like CO2 detectors, moisture sensors, temperature sensors, everything you'll need to make sure that your home and your pets are safe while you're away. With the Simply Safe app, it's super easy to arm and disarm the system, view camera feeds, manage features, giving you full control of your security from any place at any time. Simply Safe has been named one of the best home security systems by US News and World Report 5 years in a row, and there's no long-term contracts or cancellation fees with Simply Safe, so it's super easy to give it a try. He's relaxed. Save 50% on your Simply Safe security system and get your first month free when you sign up for a select monitoring plan. Visit simplysafe.com/JarvisGold to customize yours. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Thanks again to Simply Safe for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video. We'll assume you've got the basics of being a self-aware human down. What? Wait, that is the thing we need the guide about. But these moves will show you're uniquely attuned to what other people want, need, and appreciate most. Take your AirPods out when you're talking to someone. Muting doesn't count. Unless like you didn't initiate the conversation and like then you take out an AirPod to tell someone that you're hearing them. But yeah, don't just walk up to somebody with your AirPods and start talking. Though I've done that at least one time when my hands were full and I felt really bad about it. Ask before vaping indoors. Do you have no home training? I thought we had the basics of being a self-aware human down. Ask before vaping indoors. Remember to pull your pants down before you take a poo-poo. It's like, okay. If you're in a situation where you wouldn't smoke or vape, don't pop a Zen either. And go to the bathroom to remove your Zen. This is very much more Zen focused than I expected. I haven't, I guess, encountered a lot of the social decorum around popping and unpopping Zens. If you're assuming that someone knows where they shouldn't smoke or vape, but then number two is ask before vaping indoors, maybe they don't know when they're in a situation where they wouldn't smoke or vape, because number two requires that they not really know. Is this sponsored by Zen, by the way? 125 Rules for Modern Gentlemen, brought to you by DraftKings. Just because people might not be familiar with what Zen is, this is gonna ruin my ads, by the way. They're nicotine pouches that you like put in your mouth, and people can tell when they're in your mouth. Everyone loves receiving flowers, but most bouquets are cloying and chaotic. They're attacking from all angles here, because if you have a favorite flower, send a small number of stems. If not, you can't go wrong with a few calla lilies. This is so hyper specific. No one's going to complain about receiving a bouquet of flowers. Always sneeze as if you're at a library or a funeral, not if you're alone at home. Let that baby go. But yeah, if you're in public and in the crook of your arm, as if you're dabbing. I like that they put it in terms the boys could understand. A chew. You know what I'm saying? Find a signature gift you can give to almost anyone for almost any occasion and stock up. I don't know how they're going to explain this one, but this is stupid as hell. Like, it's okay if there's something that you like to share with people that maybe they don't. If you're a candle guy, giving somebody a nice candle or making them a candle. Once my friend Jacob made me a candle for Christmas, and that was a really nice gift. But if Jacob just had like a storage closet of his candles, it wouldn't feel as special. You know what I mean? A specific candle, a specific champagne, a specific short book. If you're friends with me, you know I've been giving out Step Into Reading, Taylor Swift Superstar. It's a perfect gift for any occasion, okay? You can learn all about the life of a showgirl with pictures, with words. It's incredible and everyone loves it. Surprise people when they get married. Well, it's not a freaking surprise if they know you always give out the candle, okay? If you give out Jarvis's candle, his special candle, it's not a surprise when you receive it. Surprise people when they get married, have a kid, celebrate a birthday. It'd be like, dude, this is the 3rd candle you've given me this year. You don't have to give me a gift. I feel like I'd start getting tired of the gift. Take you to dinner or invite you over to their house. That's so many gifts to be giving out. Be indulgent and indiscriminate. Those words feel at odds with each other, but whatever. Feeling stuck, a bottle of good olive oil is the move. Okay. Oh, if you're feeling stuck, olive oil, it lubes you up. It unsticks you in a normal way. Okay. You know, when people say it's the thought that counts, I think that is true actually. Because if you get me nothing, that's cool. If you get me a card, that's also cool. If you show up, I don't want people to not show up to my shindig because they couldn't figure out the proper gift to give me. When someone you know has a baby, arrange to send them dinner one night during the first month. Ditto if someone is ill or in the hospital. I thought that I was supposed to use my signature gift that I can give for almost any occasion when someone has a kid. And what do you mean feeling stuck, by the way? Feeling stuck. You did that. You made me feel stuck. Because you've created all these contradicting ideas in my head. A handwritten thank you letter is still correct. I do like when they speak in absolutes. Even in our digital age, texting your thanks just doesn't cut it. Relax, dude. I think it does. We're in an age of people who are afraid to pick up the phone and make phone calls, okay? I do think a text thank you does cut it because I think the thought matters and is no way to thank someone for their generosity or hospitality. Put some effort in. All right, William Hanson, fucking chill, dude. All right, my friend is recovering from extreme paper cuts and he does not need another piece of paper in his hands right now. All right. So maybe it's not perfect for every occasion. Sure, a handwritten letter is like very above and beyond, like very unexpected, but getting a text is nice. I actually send a lot of like, you know, thank you texts when someone hosts or something like that. If you encounter something you like that someone you know helped bring to fruition, always write to them to say congratulations or how much you enjoyed it. Sure. That's very nice. Greet people you know with a single kiss on the left cheek. Who wrote this? Depending on where you are in the world, especially in America, this is going to throw a lot of people off. In Italy and Spain, it's 2 kisses. In Latin America, it's 1 kiss. In America, usually it's no kisses because someone's going to get confused if you approach their face like that. Unless you're in a business setting or meeting someone for the first time, in which case stick with a handshake. That sounds too formal. What about the dap up? Okay. That is also a greeting that's allowed. You can hug on a first meeting, depending. You know, someone goes, I'm a hugger. And then you're like, all right, then we're going to do that. Or you could give a little, you know, one of these. Okay, there's a lot of options. It's an option select, okay? Like it's a dialogue option in an RPG. Stand up or sit up straight when you're talking to someone. It communicates respect and good posture is better for your back too. I was raised in the South where please and thank you were not optional. That is you just telling me your experience, all right? That is not a tip. That is you just telling me about your life, Chris Black, which I agree. I happen to agree. I throw a lot of please and thank yous out, even yes ma'ams. And sometimes people will be like, oh, that makes me feel old, right? And you go, oh, my bad. This is just like the default coding that I have from my upbringing, right? It's like how I was raised. You know, if you're raised in a household where, you know, what do you say? That's like a lot of places, you know, if your parents are not being polite, what do you say? Thank you. What do you say? Please. Okay, great. That's fine. Being polite is a simple yet effective way to make the world better. But I generally agree with this. It's just funny to frame this in, I was raised in the South. It's just like, try saying please and thank you more. Are you saying please and thank you? These are the same people you had to remind not to vape indoors. I think that those things are like at a different level of importance. Okay. Please and thank yous, okay? This is like, remember to pull down your pants when you take a poo-poo and bring olive oil. Need I remind you, they started with the tips about vaping, okay? And zins. And I'm gonna call someone out here. I don't know of a single zinner who's written a handwritten note, okay? Remember to take out your zin, kiss your best friend on the cheek, put your zin back in, and then write them a thank you note for allowing them to kiss you. Or you to kiss them. Don't under any circumstances listen to music, podcasts, TikTok videos, or take phone calls in public without using headphones. The noise pollution is at an all-time high from people of all ages. It must stop. don't disagree with the sentiment of this, but I will say I have like been on a walk alone where no one was around me, and I've played things with without my headphones in because no one else is gonna hear it, right? It's a good rule of thumb if you like don't have situational awareness. They really probably just mean like the subway or like on the bus and things like that, where yeah, absolutely. Hold the door when it makes sense. When the door is not feeling very well, when the door is going through a breakup and needs to feel the touch of another, you can hold the door and hold it softly and gently and kiss it on the cheek just once, okay? Take out your Zen first. This is no longer gender specific. It's simply the right thing to do. Yeah. This is very much like a help your fellow person, right? Like it's like if someone's coming behind me, I'll hold the door open for them. No need to make like a whole thing because there's a, okay, hold on. I'm going to take it. Hold the door. Okay. I'm going to poke a hole in this. If someone's right behind you, hold the door. If someone's like a car length away from you, don't hold the door, because you know what you make them do in that situation? You make them do the awkward, ooh, thank you. And they have to like do the awkward run up. I don't think they appreciated that very much. It's a nice gesture, sure. It puts them in a weird spot. It now rushes them, and they were on their own timeline. They were thinking that they weren't being seen in that moment, and they were minding their own business, and now someone's waiting on them. Now they have to be in service of the person who's being in service of them. So maybe that's when it doesn't make sense. But yeah, if they're right behind you, don't make somebody run. That's all I'm saying. Stop walking 3 feet ahead of your partner. Instead, match their stride. Who's walking 3 feet ahead of their partner? They're avoiding you. You need to have a completely different conversation if you, when walking together, they are streets ahead. The real gentlemanly thing is if you're in a group of more than 2, stop and you're about to pass someone else on the sidewalk, stop walking Red Rover style across the whole goddamn sidewalk, because I need to walk into the street to get around you, okay? You're an impenetrable wall, and I need some more situational awareness out of you, crew, okay? Another pro tip is you can douse yourself in olive oil, and then you can squeeze through the group of people. That's another tip they should talk about. Greet people you know with a... Why did you write this down? Oh, because handwritten notes. Sorry, yes. From the desk of Gentleman's Quarterly, of course. Always sneeze as though you're in a library or a funeral. Is this the way that they sourced these? Because it gives some context that maybe they were doing something else and they asked them to write this note. I'm gonna need more legible handwriting from you if you're writing all these. And he has his own personalized stationery. Without context, it then goes to this sexy devil where he famously shaves his armpits but has hair coming out of his ears and all over his legs, which is just very funny. We've got Dick Pic Devil here, and why? Is my question. Is he sending a D-pic? Because the only D-pic I care about is the dragon pickaxe. This is the only D-pic I want to see. That's a RuneScape reference for one person. I'm never making it through this. Okay, after 20 tips that ranged from kiss on the cheek, don't choose in, ask to vape indoors, and don't forget to write notes, it's bedroom time. On a date and in the bedroom. The laws of attraction, both old and new. Be unambiguous when asking someone out. Suggest dinner, not drinks or coffee. Flag on the play. I disagree, but I'll let them finish. Imply that you'll pay. Come on, bro. And differentiate this hang from any previous hangs, ideally with a compliment. I always love running into you. Can I take you to dinner sometime? That's fine, but I just feel like implying that you'll pay is like completely unnecessary. It means that someone like values that, which is kind of like an old school thing. If you want to pay, offer when the bill comes. Allow your partner to say, let's split it, and then don't fight them on it. Or say, are you sure? Or if they say, are you sure? You could be like, I'd love to. It's just like, I don't think it's that important. Dinner is also a very committal first date, in my opinion. I personally like coffee. Well, especially coffee, you can like have a little chat. You can walk around. It doesn't involve a higher cost, you know? You can grab someone's coffee for a couple bucks. It's like, doesn't break the bank. If that's even what you want to do. Dinners seems like a later date to me, but it's very old school. I will say that. Also, in support of coffee dates, if the vibe is bad, you can leave. easily. Leaving a dinner just is such a more committal thing. It's like there's a whole social thing. There's also, yeah, it's just always offer to pay on the first date. Okay, this is like very old school. It's a little bit who cares. If you want to, do it. If you don't, then don't. It's 2025. Okay, this is the problem with this, by the way, is that the people writing these etiquette guides are not people in the generation that they're speaking to. If you're going to speak down to a generation, you're kind of just imparting your own wisdom to them. And there needs to be like a mix of generations editing this to have that dialogue before it gets to print, because this just sounds like super old school advice. Don't be weird about condoms. Buy them, have them on hand, wear them, and don't make a big deal about it. I know what they're saying. Absolutely don't take them off without asking your partner. This is like, the fact that this is like below the taking out your Zin thing is crazy to me, because this is just our word, right? Because this is just like a crime, what they're saying here. And so it's like, yeah, don't do a crime. The thing is, I wouldn't put that in etiquette, if you know what I'm saying. Say as little as possible as to why you're taking time off. That's a good advice, because you don't owe your whole life's like the transparency of your whole life to your workplace. Restaurants, carry cash, $100 in greenback. What? Spread the love. $1 or $2 to the bartender. I mean, did they give me a drink? Because yeah, probably more, if I'm honest, in 2025. Check it out. Greenbacks. These are all $1 bills. Normally I don't have them with me, but if I'm going out to a place where like gonna need to tip or something, then sure. I think that was like $8, guys. So that was, I'm loaded. Also, can we retire greenbacks? I don't like the way that sounds. It sounds like a slur for Shrek. The phone and the internet. 61. Never say I've already seen this when someone sends you a funny post. It's a weapons grade bomber. Make that number one. This is the first piece of good advice I've seen on here outside of wipe your butt when you go to the bathroom or whatever. I said this earlier, actually. This is one I wanted. Control your thumbs. There's little to be gained and much to be lost from arguing online or double tapping someone's Instagram thirst traps. What if my friends are thirst trapping and I want to applaud their successful thirst traps? Like, why am I not allowed to comment another day, another sleigh to my friend's like pick, you know? What's wrong with that? You would be a better dad, partner, and friend if your screen time were cut in half. Jesus. And that's the one that you picked for number 69, huh? It's like, you would be better at everything if you cut out other things. You know what I mean? I think that there's a different way to say this, where it's like, if you have a lot of screen time, consider reducing it and considering how that might impact your mental health and your ability to do other things. This article would be better if it were cut in half. How about that? It would certainly be more succinct. I would guess no one has read all of these. This is too much. Too many tips, okay? If you're a dinner party guest, you must bring something. A bottle of wine is always a safe bet. Olive oil. Oh, they said so is good olive oil. So are flowers, but not too many flowers, okay? Too many flowers is mean. No stranger owes you their opinion. You should see my comments, all right? Serious issues in politics can always come up, but don't corner someone you've just met and shake them down for their takes. When does that happen? I've never been shaken down for my takes. Small talk is both an art and a courtesy to the person next to you at a special occasion. Think of who's going to be at the party and do a bit of prep work. Practice talking to strangers at coffee shops. You're doing like a Rocky montage of socializing before your big day. I mean, maybe this is how I get over my social anxiety, because I do not do this at all. If anything, I do the opposite. I practice not talking to people to save up my energy. Instead of just coming up with an excuse, just admit if you need to stay home and lie on the couch. People will empathize with your social burnout. I do think that more people would understand when you're feeling burnt out or low energy than you think. If you're comfortable sharing that, then do. I remember one time I canceled on Zach from the Try Guys, and he was like, honestly, dude, I'm glad you're canceling, because I needed a break too. And then we were both like, hell yeah, brother. So shout out to Zach for being understanding. Nobody back home wants to hear about your delay nightmare. Why not? I feel like sometimes there's interesting stuff that happens. Plus, like, I feel like it's very normal to be like, oh, how was your trip? And there might be a story. Help the person next to you struggling to get their carry-on in the overhead bin. Yeah, just I think a lot of this is like, there are opportunities to offer your assistance to your fellow person, but you also don't want to assume, right? So it's like if someone's putting their luggage up in the thing and maybe they can't reach or they're having difficulty, I will be like, can I help? I would ask, right? I don't want to just like assume that they want my help, because then you run the risk of someone being like, I got it. Or maybe it's something fragile and they don't want someone else handling it because they don't know how to take care of it. You're not Justin and Hailey Bieber. I don't know what that means. You and your date should look like you're dressing for the same occasion, whether it's a dinner date or a black tie wedding. Is this supposed to, do Justin and Hailey Bieber not dress like they're going to the same occasion? What does this mean? I don't know enough about this. Imagine if you're Justin Bieber reading this and you made it to 111 only to realize this article was not for you. That's like really embarrassing, actually. Almost there, the home stretch. Woo! Because a gentleman is a gentleman even when nobody's watching. I don't know, man. You need to be able to relax at some point. You don't have to hold yourself to some standard when you're alone. You're allowed, like, I'll burp. A real gentleman never relaxes. They're uptight at all times, and they're thinking about gentlemanly things only. If you cohabitate, pick your socks up off the floor. This feels targeted. There are outside clothes and inside clothes. Get in the habit of changing into clean, comfortable loungewear when you return home, and absolutely no outside clothes on the bed. Yeah, I get this for sure. Like, you don't want to get into the bed in your jeans that you wore outside, et cetera, et cetera. In the summer, take 2 showers a day. I mean, if you're like gross and musty, then take a shower. I feel like I take a shower when I feel like I need to take a shower. And in the summer, that might be 2 showers a day. But it's like, yeah, there might be just 1 shower. Sorry, is that not gentlemanly? Learn how to cook one thing well, serve it with gusto. There, you're the epitome of a modern gentleman. They really had to like lock in for the last one because it was a bunch of nothing. And then they were like, oh, here's a decent tip. We should probably end this one with a decent tip, huh, guys? Yeah. Learning how to cook one thing well is nice. All right, we did it. We're gentlemen now. And it only took 125 tips. And most of them were either hyper specific or really obvious or don't apply to most people. I hope this was fun. I'm certainly feeling more gentle and more like a man. And I hope you are too. Thanks for watching this. You only had to watch the highlights because there's a lot of them that we cut out. And eventually I might release the Snyder cut of this GQ article. But until then, I'll see you next time. Stay gold, everybody.